Patricia.Castillo.
I can't say it with that kind of accent. We are here today with our home buying seminar we do every week on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we live stream on YouTube and Facebook and record as well. We get together every week and talk about how to help people buy houses. And, these are exciting times, which can be hopefully for you a great opportunity. We're here to try to help make an opportunity for you. Patricia, what's going on in your business life? What's going on with your clients these days?
Well, some of my buyers that had got a little frustrated last year, they're starting to come out of the sidelines now, which is exciting because now we're refreshing their loan approvals and basically seeing what we can get them into. So they're still definitely interested in buying. And I'm seeing more inventory coming on the market, even though we still have generally overall low inventory, but I am seeing more inventory come on the market. And I have also been keeping an eye on properties that have fallen out of escrow, come back onto the market. I have one property in Glendora where the seller went ahead and moved out of state. And so right now they're carrying two mortgages and they're really motivated. They just did a price reduction of a little over 200,000. And you never know. You never know what you might be, able to get into. So this is definitely still a good time to buy and just keep your eyes on the market to see what is out there that, could be a really great opportunity for people and their families.
I watch a lot of news, press, discussions about where the market's headed. And one of the common mistakes people make, I think, is they assume that what's happened in the immediate past will continue. And I always tell people, I don't have a crystal ball. Truth is, I have a crystal ball. It's right there. I got it on Amazon, so it must be real. But it doesn't predict the future. It just is a crystal ball for fun. But I thought I would just share real quick to start kind of where interest rates are of late. Because I think if you listen to some people, they say, well, rates are going up straight up. And I would say, well, they went up quite a bit. But actually, since...
And they just went down.
Monday, they've gone down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean they're going to go down. In fact, they went up doesn't mean they're going to go up. It is where it is. 30 fixed rates today at 5.88, down from about 6.03 on the day started. And so what I always tell people is the right time for you to buy is when it's the right time for you to buy. If you can afford it, it will take be a fantastic investment opportunity in the long run. And there's a saying, marry the property, date the loan. You marry the property, you find a property you're going to keep for 30 years, raise your family in, or live in yourself for a long period of time, or cash flows as an investment. Marry yourself to it. It's going to stay there for a long time. With the loan, you're only dating because as soon as the rates go down, you'll refinance into another loan. And most home buyers who've owned property the last 20, 30 years have enjoyed fantastic windfalls by refinancing as rates went down along the way. And that's just pure profit in your pocket. So the phrase for today is marry the property, but you only date the loan. Does that make sense? Okay, so look, yeah, I did. I heard that from Fred Solomon, who's a old timer like me, been around for a long time, done a lot of business, and does a great job with home loans. And so, hey, look, this is meant to be participative. If you're watching on the live stream, or you're on the Zoom call, put a comment in the chat box. If you're in the Zoom, raise your hand. We'll be glad to ask a question and get that answered live. Is there any particular questions you've been getting lately, Patricia, from buyers that you think would be helpful?
So I had one question, and I think I know Jeffrey could probably chime in on this too. As far as when you're improving, trying to improve your credit score. And one of my clients had several different credit card accounts open. So as far as closing accounts, that doesn't necessarily mean that by doing that, it's going to increase your FICO score. No. So Jeffrey, what do you suggest as far as improving FICO, but not closing a bunch of credit card accounts all at once? How can that affect the FICO?
Well, thank you both for chiming me in and asking me the question. I'm Jeff. I work with On Track Credit Path. We're a credit improvement service. When it comes to closing accounts, for myself, I've been around credit and banking for 18 years. So going back only as recently as 3 years or longer, closing an account would benefit you. What's happened in the last 3 years with adjustments to the FICO algorithms, when you close an account, you actually lose points. Because all of a sudden that account that you might have had open 60 months, maybe you're not using it, 60 months, 99 months, 5-6 years. When you close it, you lose all the benefit of that account. So if you close multiple accounts at one time, I had a gentleman, he closed one account. It was only a $400 limit credit card, Citibank. He lost 32 points from closing an account. There was zero wrong with the account. He just closed the account. So I would always say, Patricia, Bill, when you're going to do something, always ask someone that might know, an expert in that area. Like they would ask you about real estate first before they threw a bunch of money at a property, not knowing how much it was worth.
Right. So in essence, paying down your balance can definitely be helpful because you're lightening the load as far as your debt is concerned, but not actually closing the account.
Absolutely. What would be even worse is to close an account that you actually have a balance on, because now you're going to lose all the benefit and you're going to still owe it. A lot of times people close accounts with zero balances because they don't use them, and that's a good idea. But in the day to day, right now, the credit report, which is a computer, needs all the good benefit. If you have a good account, closing it is only going to harm you at this point.
Right. And 32 points, that's a pretty substantial drop. I mean, that can, if you're right on the cusp of, let's say, 5% and, 6% or somewhere in between, 32 points can really shift that percentage rate that you could have potentially have qualified for, the better rate.
A lot of people I find get scared into closing accounts because they're worried about fraud. Truth is, very rarely does somebody actually end up paying on a credit card that's inactive. It's so easy to prove that it wasn't you these days. And if it's a credit card as opposed to a debit card, you're not liable. They have to prove that you authorized those charges. And so now if you have to close an account because you're tempted to use it, I say maybe tear up the cards, keep the account open. But there's almost no reason to close an account, whether you owe money on it or don't owe money. It doesn't, as Jeff has said, it doesn't help your credit score. It probably won't prevent a fraud case because you're probably not going to be liable anyhow. And so when I hear financial people all the time say, "Oh yeah, close all your credit cards." Why? There's no real reason to do it.
What's interesting, Bill, you said really good points, a couple of good ones. And I'll use myself as an example. Going back a little bit, when I didn't use an account, I closed it because you don't want people to use it. Okay, maybe I don't use Petco anymore because I don't have a pet. So why have that open credit card? And it's not every credit card is 32 points, but back in the day, you should close your accounts if you don't use them. Right now, when you're trying to get a home, trying to make any abrupt moves while you're trying to get a home, you need just to ask a professional, your lender, your realtor who has a lender, you would know better. And if they have any additional questions that maybe the lender or realtor can answer, that's what we do. We can answer them for nothing. There's no cost. We just want to help them get a home. But as things change in the credit side, that's where it really becomes a benefit to the realtor and the lender, because the person I mentioned that closed his account, he did it while he was with our service and didn't tell us. Because if he would have mentioned, should I close it? I don't use it. It's only a $400 limit. We would have said, no, hold off. so we could make some other adjustments with you and give you other suggestions to combat the loss of the score.
I used to be one of those people who played every credit card game with the free points and every gas card to try to get the benefit of every gas card. And whenever we flew, different airlines get their credit card and bonus points. One of the challenges now is credit companies want you to pay electronically and want your statements come electronically. And if you miss it, if it goes to spam or you miss the electronic payment email that they send you, you have a late fee. And I had a couple credit cards I used once in a while, and I spent more money on late fees than I ever got in points. And so I actually made the decision to get rid of all credit cards, using all credit cards, but two, one for business, one for personal. And as a result, my life's simpler. I get points on those and I don't get other points, and it all works out. I'm not saying you should do the same thing. What I am saying is just make sure you're not paying any late fees because you're missing credit cards. You're not spending too much time paying. And I don't carry a balance, but I would write 15, 20 checks. Would take some work versus now I just do two, and one's my business account. I just transfer it. And so sometimes some of these incentives, you don't pin out at the end. But again, the remedy is not to close the account. The remedy is to maybe tear up the card if you're never going to use it. And then you're probably not liable if it's a credit item, as opposed to a debit card. Again, debit cards are like checks. Somebody can hold your debit card, you might be liable. Rarely, but you might be. Credit cards, I've never heard of anybody liable for credit card when they were authorizing the charge. Okay, so you got some great expertise here on the call as far as personal finance, credit, getting yourself ready to buy a house. I may have a question I'd like to ask us today while we're all here.
Hi, Jeffrey. This is Raina. I did have a question for you. I actually had a buyer ask me this, and I didn't know how to answer this question. So they're working on their FICO, and they did mention if they were to get a credit card to pay off the other credit cards, does that help?
So you're talking like maybe I've seen that where there's an introductory rate. Maybe you're going to get 0% for the next 6 months or a year.
Yeah, they mentioned that they saw a credit card that was like 18 months, no fees. So they wanted to get that one. I guess they qualified for a good amount, and they wanted to pay off all their debt. They didn't have much. It was probably like $200-300 in each card, and they just wanted to use that one to pay everything off. Does that help by any chance to improve your FICO?
Well, with the question, it does help, but there is a second part of that question. When you go to pay off a credit card, let's say we'll use an even number. Every credit card is $200. You have 5 of them.
Okay.
You have a chance to get another credit card at 0% for $1,000, and you can pay off all 5 of those cards.
Correct.
The problem with it in the positive is, one is you end up moving all the payments to one card and you save on the interest, which helps Patricia, it helps Bill and their lender give you more buying power in the debt to income ratio. That's a great thing. The other side of the coin is, if you have an open account with no balance on it, you're not getting any benefit. The way the credit report works is, let's picture $1,000 limit and you have a 0 balance. You would think, oh my gosh, I'm doing a great job. I have a 0 balance. But you have to remember, a computer calculates things differently. The credit report wants to know you know how to pay bills, not so much that you have a 0 balance. So if you have $25 on that card and your balance and your limit is 1,000, it thinks you're a superhero. It's like, oh my gosh, she only spent $25 and she could have spent 1,000, and she pays her bills on time. Once you get to a 0 balance, you lose the benefit because the algorithm thinks, hey, anybody can have a 0 balance if they don't use the credit card. So it doesn't give you as many points. Okay. So I'm only giving you that based on how the credit report works. So if that person does go ahead and pay off those multiple cards with that other card, that's a great idea. But they're going to have to use those cards in a small way, $25, $50 maybe on a necessity. Gasoline, $50, that's a gallon of gas. And then $20, that's a loaf of bread. So just one time, but once you have a balance and you leave it on that credit card, that will help that person tremendously, because the credit report will be like, wow, this person is not spending and they're paying their bills back. And when they pay the minimum payment, they will get so many points. So the idea is terrific. Just make sure that if they have a question and they're not sure what the next step is, they're not going to get it from the credit card that's giving them 0%, and they're not going to get it from the other credit cards. Just ask their realtor or their lender. And in this case, Bill or Patricia, if they aren't sure, they're going to ask us. And that's really good. That's a good avenue for you, because no matter what, you're going to get the best answer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you, Rena. So, what are the questions we have? Anybody else have anything else that they want to jump in on? Burning questions? What do you see in the market? I can just tell you, I took a listing a week ago Thursday. I've had 4 offers on it already. I have 2 right now that we're reviewing. So the market's still active, not as crazy as 6 months ago. But what I noticed, these buyers in particular, they had taken a little bit of a break and they realized prices aren't going down and the rates are what they are. And you're not married to that rate forever. So they've all jumped in. So any other questions? Anything else come up with that you want to chat about, Patricia?
I think just kind of piggybacking off of what you said, home price deceleration doesn't equal home price depreciation. So we're seeing a slowness in the acceleration of the prices. They're not just skyrocketing anymore, but they're kind of holding steady right now. And that's why, some of my buyers that went on the sidelines late last year, they're starting to poke their heads because they're seeing that the prices are holding somewhat steady and it's still a great time to buy.
Can be. And I think, again, that it can be a great time to buy if it's a great time to buy for you. That's the key. Your financials, you qualify, you have the payments. Some people only qualify at certain times. As self-employed, I need 2 years of tax returns and a year to date. And so that means I have to have really, good couple years in a row, and make sure I can apply at that time. And when not, it doesn't matter how low houses are or how low rates are, I can't qualify. But today, market's good, and I have the ability to buy something else. So I'm looking for investment properties right now. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions online. I'm looking at YouTube and Facebook. I see people watching, which is great. We're glad to have you guys. Thank you. And online on the Zoom call, we talked to Rena. I don't know if I see Rhonda's on the call and as well. If you have a question, Rhonda, here's your chance. Raise your hand or unmute yourself or put it in the chat box. Glad to help answer the questions you may have. And then if not, if you watch during the week, or reach out to me or Patricia or Jeffrey, we're glad to answer questions for you as well. So
can we put Jeffrey's information on the screen in case somebody wants to reach out to him after the call?
Okay, I'll do that.
What's your phone number, Jeffrey?
630-745-0216.
And I'll put it in the chat box.
That's a direct number. I do want to offer something. I really love you guys. Patricia, Bill, I like the fact that you like to educate people. And we're just on the credit side, so we don't show any houses or do any mortgages. But here's what I want to offer. We always do free reviews and we always answer questions for nothing. So anybody that has a question, credit's not a good topic, but anybody that has a question, they can always reach out for nothing. But I will throw this out there. If there's anybody in the future, anybody that's on this call or knows anybody for the next 5 days that wants to find out if they could utilize our program, we'll let them start for $1.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But they can still get their questions answered for free.
Right.
I do want people to know that they need to reach out to their realtors and their lenders, because that's the best place to know what's going on in the market. Yeah. Who do you think I ask? I ask you guys, because you know. And then you reach out to us if you have a credit question. And you reach out to your lenders if you have an interest rate or a program question.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to offer that to everybody. It's all about education. And we're going into a time where you can literally buy something now. And 5 years from now, remember, 6% is going to seem low.
I think you're right. I think you're right. That's why it's an opportunity of a lifetime. I think, the opportunity is not when everybody's doing the same thing. The opportunity is when people are not. 6 months ago might have been a great time to buy, but if you're one of 11 offers, you didn't get the house. Today you have a chance. You can negotiate some terms. You can get the property. And then again, at some point, you're marrying the house, but you're only dating the loan. At some point, the rates go down. You get a chance to refinance and drop the rate. Had you bought a few weeks ago when the rates were at 6.08, you'd be seeing today at 5.85 saying, rates go down a little bit more. I can refinance for free. And that happens all the time. So, or you can get a 7-year fixed or a 5-year fixed to be more aggressive. Okay, well, I think that's all we have for today as far as questions. Appreciate, Jeffrey, always appreciate having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
for
Raina.
including me.
Yeah, and Raina, thank you for jumping in, asking questions. Always glad to have you there. And Patricia, you want to wrap up here and say goodbye to everybody?
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And, last week we did have, actually the week before that, a lender on the line. So what you were just talking about right now, Bill, with needing those financial documentations like W-2s and tax returns, lenders have expanded their options for lending. So if you don't fit that traditional criteria, there are some loan options out there that are probably more suitable for the non-traditional, loan applicant. So reach out to us. We're here to help you and guide you along the way.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for participating. We do this every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's live stream on YouTube and Facebook. We also record it on our social media channels. So look forward to seeing you guys again next week. In the meantime, call if we can help in any way. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jeffrey. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you very much.